First off, I translated this word for word on my Sunday, on my free day, my free time, because all these... Wait, came out yesterday? Came out yesterday? I was busy all day at the Dragon Ball event. I already saw people taken out of contact and shit. I was like, oh my god. Here we go. Didn't have any time to do anything. Didn't have any time to fight. I didn't want to fight now. I just want to post it up. You guys can come to your own little conclusions there. But yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, toss me that sub. Or gift a sub. Or give me a Twitch Prime. I didn't have to do it. I don't have to save Guilty Gear, but sometimes the hero's got to step up. Alright. So here we go. I don't know if I can make it any bigger here. But yeah, alright. So here we go. First note. Interpretation is not translation. Okay? It's very different. Translation is when you translate something, what he's saying. This is what he said. This is what Daisuke Ishiwatari said. This is the interview. In English. Okay? This is what a translation is. Everyone else is interpreting. Like, oh, this is what he said. I think this is what he said. This is what he said, in my opinion. Like, here, this is what he said. That your fucking interpretation is not correct. Is not right. It's skewed. It's what you think. That's why you guys need to slow down when you see anyone be like, this is what they said, man. Chill. If it's something small, if it's something small, sure, interpretation is fine. If it's something big like this, if it's something big like an article that's starting a war, wait for the translation. There's enough people. I'm surprised it took this long. I'm surprised I had to do it, honestly. There's enough people in the FTC that can translate. This article is not even that long. It's not even that hard. So maybe people just slacking, huh? Maybe no one actually wants to do anything. Amon Eagles says, please tell him to cancel it. I'm going to cancel you, buddy. Get the fuck out of here. All right. And then here, if I catch anybody reading this without some anime Illuminati, I'm going to tell Daisuke to cancel it. That's it. Okay, got it. So here we go. This is an interview. Guilty Gear Strive, Daisuke Ishiwatari interview. Oh yeah, I'm gonna read this on stream. It's not a rough translation, but it's not a pretty translation. So I'm gonna have someone look at it after and like pretty up the English. That always comes second. But yeah, anyway, so here we go. Daisuke Ishiwatari, while we protect the spirit of Guilty Gear, we aim to broaden the field of players who can enjoy the game. Let's just read it first, and then we'll go back and look at some parts, okay? Jiyuna reading hour. This interview took place on site. There's a mistake. On site at ARCREVO America 2019, which was held on November 16 and 17 in California. We spoke directly on site with the game's general director, Daisuke Ishiwatari, so we will present the interview in that form. There he is. Daisuke, he cut his hair. That should have been a sign for you right away. Things are changing. So 4Gamer says, the title for the new game was announced, Guilty Gear Strive. Please share with us the thoughts and meaning behind the name. Ishiwatari says, okay. So, following the theme of the entire Guilty Gear series, we decided on Strive. So they kept it, it's a Guilty Gear game, Guilty Gear, and then they added Strive right there. Furthermore, the IV in Strive is in bold, so it also holds the meaning of 4, because, I guess it's the 4th game. But I think it's fine if this is ignored. So he just said that. I guess he's not a fan, but he's like, I think it's fine if you don't really focus on the 4. Just call it Guilty Gear Strive. X, XX, and Exert all contain the letter X, so we decided to go with Strive to separate this title from those games. There it is. There's a logo, if you haven't seen it. What is the theme of the Guilty Gear series? Ishiwatari says, this becomes a discussion about the story, but the theme revolves around seeking the answer to the question, what does it mean to be human? For the new title as well, we want to continue with this theme and create a new drama to unfold. 4Gamer says, where's 4Gamer? I was able to play the demo version, right? I felt the game was much easier to play than the older titles. Please share with us why you decided to make such a big change to the feel of the game. Ishiwatari says, for this title, we felt like we needed to appeal to both people that have never played a fighting game and to those who enjoy the modern style of fighting games. Therefore, we emphasize accessibility during development. 4Gamer. Ishiwatari, you've always had the image of someone who loves traditional fighting games and really puts his own, his own personality into whatever he makes. I'll say it directly, but I felt the fact that you're making the new title easy to play is a bit uncharacteristic for you. Ishiwatari says, the Guilty Gear series up until now has certainly been heavily influenced by my own personal image of what a fighting game should be. But because of this, the games are difficult to approach for new players. For this title, we wanted to reset that part and aim to make a game that can be enjoyed by many different players. However, this by no way means that I'm looking to make any compromises regarding the development of the game. I think we need to push that level of detail and depth that only Arc System Works and no other developer can achieve, and I believe that the entire staff understands this. The new title is the newest title in the long-standing Guilty Gear series, so I absolutely believe we must protect the spirit of Guilty Gear. I'm currently in a position where the staff keeps proposing a multitude of new ideas, but I have to turn them away like a seawall laughs. That was kind of hard. It's kind of weird translation, so this is the idea. I made art for you. Weird to translate analogy. So I made some art. But yeah, that's Daisuke. He's the seawall. And these are all the bad ideas from devs. And he's got to turn them away and only let in the good ones that fit the spirit of Guilty Gear. Kind of thing. Screenshot of the game right there. 4Gamer says, please share with us what led to you developing the new game. He says, I'll be repeating what I said earlier, but while we were brainstorming and trying to figure out what a new player wanted in a fighting game, we came to the conclusion that we should reset the experience everyone has had up until now. I've always believed that a fighting game should feature a wide variety of characters, so we decided to use the base of Guilty Gear Xrd and increase the amount of characters. So I wasn't sure about this, but then I looked it over and I asked a Japanese friend, so I got confirmation. I'll explain that after, but that's what he said. 4Gamer said, regarding the idea that a fighting game should feature a large cast, do you plan on adding classic characters to Strive that were not featured in Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2? He said, I said the same thing during Rev 2, but if we can sell enough, we'll put every character in the game. He laughs. Furthermore, Guilty Gear Strive is a separate title from Rev 2, so I still have not thought about whether or not Rev 2 is finished. There's still a possibility that more classic characters may be added to Rev 2 in the future. Currently, Sol, Kai, Mei, Axel, Chip, Potemkin, Faust, and one unnamed character have been revealed. Can you share with us why you selected these 7 classic characters? He said, this is something the entire staff struggled with, but we looked for characters that are recognized around the world, characters that Guilty Gear fans want in the game, and characters that feel good to new players. And this is the lineup that we felt best matched those criteria. 4Gamer says, all the visuals have changed, but among those Mei changed so much that you could almost call her a different person. I feel like this was a good move, and you succeeded in gaining a lot of new fans. Ishiwatari says, I'm very happy it worked out. And also, the views on her reveal video continue to skyrocket. Laughs. There, I checked. They're at like 800K on the official one. Not including all the vultures there, but it's pretty good. There she is, there's Mei. Trailer there. 4Gamer says, she's very popular because no matter which frame you look at, she's always cute. Ishiwatari says, this is because our art director thoroughly designed the character piece by piece. He said one by one, so like frame by frame, piece by piece. Besides Mei, Faust also received a big change from his past design. Yeah, sure. Mei and Faust both received big and noticeable changes, but we're carefully designing each character with new players and the global market in mind, while thinking about how much of that character's charm we can still show off. Again, we can talk about that later. 4Gamer says, next, please allow us to ask about the gameplay. Compared to the Xrd series, I felt that the damage dealt by players was rather high. Do you plan to maintain this level of damage? He said, here we go. He said, certainly the amount of damage dealt has increased, but looking at our data from the playtest, the length of each match has not changed that much from the older titles. This shows that the neutral game and the mind games have expanded. Certainly I did not get the impression that the matches were short from the games I played. He says, the titles up until now focused on performing long and difficult combos in like strings in order to deal big damage. But in order to perform these techniques, a great deal of time spent practicing was necessary. We wanted to revise this part of the game and make it easier for players to have the chance to win against higher level players. Of course, we are making sure that the game rewards players who put in the time practicing, so please be at ease. In past titles, your success was linked to your ability to perform high difficulty combos and set play. By simplifying this part, I see you're placing more emphasis on the mind games. Mind games, neutral, it's yomiai, so it's a weird way to say it, but you know, like the neutral situations, right? The yomiai, the mind games. He says, up until now, I've aimed to create a fighting game that plays like shogi. Oh, here we go. This is the shogi. Ready? So up until now, I've aimed to create fighting games that play like shogi. Shogi is a game where if there is a gap between you and your opponent's skill level, then you will almost never lose. However, in order to match the current trends, it was necessary to change that part. I don't know if this is a proper example, but I think I'm aiming to create something close to Mahjong. Gameplay where confident movements, reads, and luck can also allow one to seize, a chance at victory. 4Gamer, the effect of Roman cancel has also been narrowed down, and its use has become easier to understand. In the Exit series, it was a system that had too high a degree of freedom, so this time we set the scope of its use. However, just narrowing down its use is not very interesting, so we've made sure to include a variety of different techniques. Basically, hitting your opponent and performing a red Roman cancel is simple and strong, but we want high-level players to be able to explore and find other uses for the system. 4Game says, I also felt that it was easy to use red Roman cancel to extend my combos. Ishii says, when you first start playing the game, I think it'll feel that way, but as you dive further into the game, there are also more difficult and interesting uses to discover, so please look forward to that. There's a picture of the burst. 4Game says, when talking about the Guilty Gear series, one of the words synonymous with the game is okizeme. That's the system of attacking your opponent as they get up. But in this version, there are a lot of attacks that knock the opponent away, and I felt like it's become difficult to perform okizeme. He says that's correct. We decided that not focus on mid-screen okizeme and instead expanding on the way you attack in the corner would make for a better game. Up until now, there are many examples of players losing the powerful okizeme from advanced players without being able to do anything in return. Removing this scenario and instead increasing the number of mind games per match was one of our concepts when designing the game. Mind games, again, means like neutral interactions. 4Gamer says, in this title, when you perform a combo in the corner, your opponent is blown away and the stage changes. Is it safe to say that this is also a system to prevent matches from becoming one-sided? He says, that's correct. However, the person who performs the wall break attack receives a buff, so they are able to proceed at an advantage after the match resumes. Presently, the buff is a bonus to their tension gauge building, but this is only temporary, and at this moment, I'm not sure what that buff will be in the final version. 4Gamer says, in the current version, air teching, which allows one to recover in the air, is also gone. Please share your reasoning behind this. Even in the past titles, he says, there were many requests to add in the hold button air tech feature, and I've discussed it countless times with the production staff throughout the years. Of course, this discussion came up during the development of the current version, but I thought the whole reason this is even a discussion in the first place is because of the complex air battles that happen in the game, which in turn add to the level of difficulty. That being the case, I thought maybe we should make, or maybe we are supposed to make a game without the need for air teching, which led us to our current system. 4Gamer says, that's a pretty big system change. He says, if you look back on the history of Guilty Gear, even though we attempted to create a new game with each title, we were held back and unable to proceed forward in many aspects due to the need to protect the conventional spirit of Guilty Gear. For this title, we're taking development strategy to actively break free from those parts. This is digression, but there actually is air teching in the game. This was put in to prevent infinite combos, so I don't think you'll see it in everyday play. 4Gamer says, the Gatling system that offered a high level of freedom up until now has also been rather restricted. He says, when we made the original Guilty Gear, I thought it would be easy if you could just hit buttons in order to make attacks come out. Like, he's talking about the Gatling system. He said, in actuality, it is pretty easy, I feel. However, when you look at it from a competitive standpoint, if you have a vast number of routes available, then a new player will have no idea which route is the correct one to use. Because of this, advanced players will have an understanding through experience and reason that would create a gap between the players. Because of this, I thought it would be beneficial to restrict the available routes. This way, the system would be easier to understand for a greater number of people. For instance, I think the Guilty Gear series is not just about the battle system, but the story and characters are also a key part of its appeal. Are you planning on adding the story mode that was so highly praised in the past versions? He says, I cannot say anything at the present time, but I'd like to keep creating until the Tale of Soul Bad Guy is completed. Also, I want to make it so that those new players who are now familiar with the previous story can keep up when playing Guilty Gear Strive. Is the character with the dreadlocks who appeared in the trailer a main character in the story? He says, I can't say it this time, but we're planning on it. There he is. Ever since his face was revealed in the trailer, there hasn't been any new information. When can we expect a follow-up on this character? He says, we plan on sharing things as soon as they are completed, so please just wait a little longer. In Japan, there's currently an eSports boom surrounding fighting games. Do you have plans to develop the new title with eSports in mind? He says, of course we would like to get involved. However, I don't know if our vision of eSports matches that of what certain companies and organizations think eSports is. Since long ago, you have said fighting games are a communication tool that connects the world. He says, yes, of course there is a competitive aspect, but I think it is something that everyone can get excited over together, regardless of language or nationality. Recently, there's been a rugby boom in Japan. The no side that is called at the end of the match. This is something that we could do with fighting games as well. And then no side, I had to look it up. But no side is like an outdated rugby term that only is used in Japan. No one uses this except Japanese people. It signals the end of the match, and it means that once the competition is over, all the players should forget the differences and just, join together. There's no more sides. What do you think of the esports boom? He says, I think there are already too many different expectations depending on the business. However, I still feel doubts about whether or not the fun and excitement of esports is properly being presented to the general audience. There are esports shows being broadcast on late night television. Whenever I watch these, I get the feeling that these are just programs that serve to promote the game. Simply using a game to host a tournament is certainly esports, but I'm thinking about what needs to be done so the general audience is able to enjoy this. He's talking about non-fighting game players. General audience is non-fighting game players. Just broadcasting tournament footage is not enough to spark interest. During the Rugby World Cup, they showed small rule explanations on the screen during the matches. I thought this was great. Regarding esports, Sega has put out its game tournament reporting system, by ePlay. I feel like this would be an interesting thing to test out. That's their system. Thank you for your time today. In closing, please send a message to all the fans looking forward to the release of Guilty Gear Strive. And his final words is, the first playtest for this game took place in America, but we have plans to hold playtest within Japan as well. I believe that direct feedback from players that play the game is absolutely essential to creating a good product, so I'd be grateful if you came out to play and share your thoughts and feelings on the new game. Ta-da! Alright, there you go. Finished. I am a Guilty Gear shill. I agree with everything said in the article. Guilty Gear flops and Mori laughs as a 10-year BB tag plan keeps succeeding. Bam, 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 bam. Shut up. Alright, what do you disagree with?